Smooth, what's good, baby?
Anyway, for real. I'm a big dog on conversation losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got the suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog on conversation losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got the suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I don't want you now. Made the crowd scream on my own guns. I bitch you ready, red, bro, you down. He was supposed to be with Caesar Matthews, he's a 9. How you let the stinks take your pieces from me? Turn a nigga head into a Reese's cup. You wasn't on the main line, you was PC'd up. We got Draco in the building, turn to Stevie Wonder. Now we back to the punchlines. I'm finna do a nigga sleazy like that one time. I got a free bus pass, he on that one line. I tell my wrist handicapped like that blind nigga. I'm a big dog on conversation losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got the suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog on conversation losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got the suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog on conversation losers. For real. Suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it.
I'm a big dog, I don't conversate with poodles. I make street music you can commit violent crimes too. If we beefing, I use chunks from your noodles and make spaghetti. Throwing house party when you hear them pop shots, it's not confetti. That shit under meniscus, I can eyeball it, no fatty. For a nickel, my shooter ain't a nigga world Armageddon. I want more chains and whip like my shit ain't broke already. And I don't wanna hit that crystal cause I'm dope already. Things came to take the rap game over and I hope y'all ready. Bitch act stupid, I fuck your mama, bitch, you know I'm petty. Nigga think he fucking with me, must be blowed off fatty. This exotic stinky buzz, we don't smoke that Reggie.
I'm a big dog on conversation losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got the suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog on conversation losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got the suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog on conversation losers. For real. Suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it.
We Japanese still. You getting cooked in front of your family? Like a Japanese meal. It's y'all soup the hibachi and none of you niggas can stop me. But can't help but watch me. Man, we back, bro. Back to back shows. You know how we rocking, man. We're gonna deal with this racist Facebook extremists. We touched on it. It's a group known as Jews versus Hebrew Israelites on Facebook. And Jacob Israel, don't let it, get to your head that we're singling you out. It's not just you or your group or the people in it. It's it's a multitude of groups. One of them being known as Biblical Rumble Room, which you came from, which inspired you to make this group called the Jews versus the Hebrew Israelites, where it's really a hodgepodge of nothing but racial groups or people that have racial typological ideologies, racial essentialists, all coming together to clash with each other. A bunch of Nazis fighting with each other. So we're gonna read some things from these groups. We're gonna give these people some visibility, so you guys can see some of their arguments against Black Africans or African Americans or E1B1A carriers. Even though all African Americans are not E1B1A carriers, and their ideas, and then they try to, like we just covered in the last show, try to say science is backing their ideas, and actually science is at odds with the racial essentialists. Science is at odds with you neo-Nazis. Science is at odds. Genetic sciences, right? Genomic studies is at odds with you Afrocentrics, with Sonnet or Garfield, so on and so forth. KKK, new neo-Nazis, whatever, what have you, man. Yeah, we back, Real Rugen. The education don't stop, you know what I'm saying? So we got the Savant from the Levant in the building. Anything you want to say in regards to these Facebookers?
Let's get it in.
right.
That's
So
all I gotta say. Let's get it in. Let's get this over with and done.
yeah, you guys forgive me if my reading not on point. I'm actually very tired today. We just finished another show, but we're gonna get through this. So um let me go here and share this tab here. This is the this is the group right here, man. Look. So this fellow here, as you guys can see there, how do you say that? Absalom, I think that's what his name is, Absalom. Um, he has this account, and what he does is he tries to antagonize Black Hebrew Israelites. But it's it's like you want to get on these people so bad, and we do. But this is the same shit y'all do in the biblical rumble room. You sit up and say, white Jews are fake, they cage czars, they not real, they not human. So there you got these people that are polar opposites, just as extreme as you, saying the same things, making the same inflammatory statements. And it's like you're both, two pieces of the same pod, actually. So he says here, what do the black ass Hebrew Israelites think about the views of this guy? Do you still consider yourselves Hebrew Israelites? Do you realize that, and it's funny, determinism is so strong in these groups and these social media people, whatever. They're always deterministic. They think if I pose this question or if I provide this soundbite or show this clip or show this meme, then it determines who you are, and it absolutely either rebukes or refutes anybody. Like this shit is retarded. It determines your identity or ancestry. This is how these people think, because again, they're deterministic. We know science is not deterministic; it's probabilistic. It says here, do you realize that Ethiopians and by extension all Cushitic people carry Eurasian genes, and you don't? By the way, today he is a diplomat for Ethiopia. Great success.
Yeah, and he has a video. I don't know if you want to play the video, but he has a video that he attached to the to his comment. It's up to you if you want to play it.
Oh, we're gonna play it because what he's saying and what this guy in the video is saying are two different things. One's predicated upon Eurasian genes, which a lot of Africans have Eurasian genes, whether west, east, south, north. A lot of Africans have Eurasian genes. We've done video after video to ad nauseum on Eurasian gene flow into sub-Saharan Africa and North Africa, whatnot, which is crazy. But this video is really not a genetic argument if we play the video. It's this idea of Negro and probably going back to the craniometry, right? Let me play this. I don't know why it's not playing.
You can also click the link if it doesn't work.
Yeah, I just did that. Let's open this up. Come on, man. Don't do me like that. Fucking play the video.
Came down from the Middle East. You are not native African.
No, not at all.
Ethiopian.
As a matter of fact, you don't have the...
You say that your people came down from the Middle East. You are
Come on.
not native African.
No, not at all.
Ethiopian.
As a matter of fact, you don't have the Negro blood at all. And we migrated from the Semitic type of Saudi Arabia and Yemen and the countries just away from the Red Sea. And the origin could be said that some people drafted and came to the northern part of Ethiopia. And then they migrated inwards. And time went on, they stayed instead. And then the Hamitic races from the bordering from the south and from Sudan and things like that, from the countries
But
in
if you,
Africa.
excuse me for interrupting, but if you don't have Negro blood, then this is news to me. The Ethiopians, I would think, wouldn't have any particular feeling about race relations in other parts of Africa.
We don't at all feel any relationship with it. It's none of our concern. We just don't care about it. As we don't have the Negro blood, we shouldn't have to worry ourselves. The color you might, the color of my face is just dark because it's due to the exposure of the sun. And my country is a mountainous country. It's 800 feet above sea level. and it's more or less nearer to the sun than is the other countries that lay near the equator.
Yuma,
Yeah,
you're not white,
and not black.
not black. What
Yeah.
are you?
It's just in between.
Yuma, and I would like to know, are you, for instance, very much interested in the South African race policy?
You see how idiotic this whole racial category system has made you guys. This is
And
an
this
old,
dude is
this
go
an
ahead.
old, this is an old video. This is a very old video, but today, 2023, you still have you know a lot of you people just lay people, right? But it's still the same. You still have these dumbass talking points. I don't have any. What the hell is Negro? There's no such thing as Negro blood. What are you talking about? So
And this guy's using this video from the 50s as evidence. It's
As
like modern genetic evidence. Like what?
this
Sit your ass down.
And a lot of Ethiopians, by the way. And a lot of Ethiopians, by the way, carry haplogroup either, literally like our distant cousins. So
yeah. I mean, at some point you gotta like refrain from lunacy. But anyway, let's let it play.
but you know, a lot of things he does say reminds me a lot what those Somalis and groups say on Clubhouse. A little bit.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are racist, man. It's just that simple.
Yeah. But shoot, them Horners be hating each other too, so
Yeah, it's still racism.
Or do you stand more or less objective towards that?
Not at all. We wish you would do things fairly. I mean, we wish you don't treat the native South Africans as you do right now. But as a matter of fact, we don't care. We just listen to your policies and things that go on in South Africa. But I'd like to ask you one question. Would it become more? I mean, more. Would it be? Would you think it would be a little?
I mean, wait, just before.
Would the matter be worse or better? I mean, within these few years, or how what is the stand right now of this South African problem?
Could I just ask you another question before I answer yours?
Yeah.
Is there any discrimination, for instance, between the separate tribes in your country? How do you, for instance?
I'm very happy you brought that point. As a matter of fact, we the Amhara tribes consider ourselves superior to the other tribes, to the adjacent tribes that live in the same community, and we just consider them inferior and consider ourselves superior. And that could be a
dang.
This is the idiocy that comes with this racial typological thinking, bro.
And this is supposed to be evidence. He's getting evidence from like a Ethiopian supremacist.
Yeah. Well, he's not an Ethiopian supremacist, an Amharic supremacist.
Yeah, Amhara supremacist.
Yeah, pretty much. And like he's like, fuck all the other tribes. And this is his evidence. This is his bona fide, concrete, cemented evidence.
And you know the funny thing, all the other adjacent tribes to the Amhara, like the Tigrayans, the Oromo, the Somalis, all these other groups literally would have the exact same amount of Eurasian DNA. So it's like basically he's using evidence of a person, Amhara supremacists, who hate other Ethiopian groups who have the exact same amount of Eurasian DNA as them. Because Amhara are genetically not that different from like Tigrayans and Eritreans and groups like that.
Yeah. See, this is what happens with you Facebookers, you social media warriors, keyboard warriors. This is your evidence. This is your proof. And then you say, oh, science is back. No, science is not backing what you're saying. This is lunacy. This is lunacy, man. Where the hell is my damn? There it is. Where is it? No, I need this to. There we go. So I discussed this earlier. Maybe I should just bring this back up because, again, we have a long way to go in like trying to educate you guys. The task is very tall because you guys are getting inundated with idiocy, like you guys are seeing on the stream on a day-to-day basis. You know, some people, all y'all do is get on the internet and spread dumb shit like this. That's all you do from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. Close your eyes. You're on Facebook spreading stupidity on social
Facebook,
media,
Twitter, and Instagram.
spreading stupidity. You know, so there was a paper. I think it was structure and ancestry patterns of ancient Egypt. I mean, ancient Ethiopia. You know, just to show what he was talking about. So as you can see, the Oromo, some of these surrounding tribes that he was like, we're just better than, right? They have the same components.
And he thinks they're all quote unquote have Negro blood. He thinks
Yeah, I mean they would because Negro blood, first of all, is not what the fuck is Negro blood? What the hell is that? They all have autosomal genes because they admix with similar population or admix with each other. That's what autosomal DNA shows you. And these dilettantes misuse that term all the time. So if you look at the Agal, the Oromo, and the Beta Israel,
Somali.
they all have those the same similar components as the Amhara. As you can see, they're all of Dinka, Egyptian, or we will say Eurasian, right, and Mota ancestry. As you can see, Somala, same thing, and they're all similar proportions. But to him, they are vastly different and distinct. What did he learn that from? The idea of racial supremacy. And a lot of those people in Ethiopia follow the idea of craniometry, because the skull shapes and all this other madness that is not does not comport with modern science at all, up to date science at all.
And keep in mind, remember what the commenter said. The person who posted this video said that we are different because Ethiopians, or should I say Ethiopians are different because they have Eurasian DNA. And he posted this video stating that this Amhara man is supporting what he's saying. But this Amhara man is saying that only the Amhara are different and only the Amhara have this uniqueness about them. And all other groups adjacent to him are Negroes. That is obviously incorrect, according to the DNA. All those Ethiopian groups, or most of those Ethiopian groups, are pretty much all genetically similar.
Yeah, yeah. And to put the
So,
cap when we talk about autosomal DNA, you really don't want to deal with that because again, that shows people admix. In order to admix with somebody, you have to be in that region to admix with them. It's just that you have to be in the same areas to do that. And this is the idiocy that's replete on the internet. That's replete on Facebook. It's replete. You
yeah,
know.
he's gonna get that work in. Y'all gonna see because I'm actually going to address him, or I did address him. So y'all gonna check that out here in a second once the video's over with. But yeah, he gets that work.
Yeah, we're gonna just start going over a lot of these crazy ass claims y'all be making on Facebook and just do videos on it because there's a
Fun,
million.
the funny thing is they're giving us content. This is
And there's a
great
million of them.
content.
That's a million, and I see why you guys don't like doing live debates. Y'all don't want to be scrutinized or have your ideas tested because most of this BS that you're peddling is just that
Bro,
bullshit.
say that again, bro. Say that again.
Yeah, that's why y'all don't want to debate because you guys know that most of the bullshit that you're peddling is just that bullshit.
Exactly.
You know that. You know you can't substantiate these damn claims. That's why you don't do live debates. You don't want to do it. You're allergic to it.
They either do one of two things: go after low hanging fruit, or run completely from an actual like YouTube debate.
Mhm. Yep. And then we have to just bust your ass. So
And the excuse always is, "Oh, you're just going to monetize and get money off the debate, bro." We can make money off you by addressing your comments.
yeah,
Either
right,
way, we can make the content either way,
right.
with or without you.
Yeah, you guys are silly, bro. Um, So this is what this paper says here about the Fulani. It says the Fulani now speak a Niger-Congo language, most similar to language spoken west coast of Africa. I meant to read up here. It says such language replacement also happened to the Fulani, who are traditionally nomadic pastoralists, living across a broad range of Africa encompassing Sudan, Central, and Western Africa. The Fulani now speak a Niger-Congo language most similar to languages spoken on the west coast of Africa. So when you go down here, as you can see, the Fulani are in Western Central Africa here, right? And then the Amhara and in Ethiopia. I don't know why I keep saying Egypt. In Ethiopia here, the Amhara there.
Shaka Amos.
In the east, in the eastern or in the Horn. So when we go down, let's go to the part where it talks about how they are similar. But what groups that they cluster with.
There's actually a lot of papers on the Fulani and their genetics.
Look who they cluster.
Oh, go ahead.
Look who they cluster with on the list here. So, a neighbor joining phylogeny of African and representative global individuals based on whole genome sequence data. This was figure 2A is right here. And the Fulani cluster with Amhara and Dizzy. It's because they're autosomes. How did they get those autosomes? Migration. That's how they got those autosomes. As we see, the Takari have 77% Mercy DNA. How do they get those Mercy components? These are the Mercy right here, which are now Saharan people. Migration. In order for them to admix, they have to be near each other, have sex with each other. It's just that simple, man. These people try to make this shit so hard and difficult and complicated because they keep it convoluted and keep you confused so they can peddle their bullshit, right? The Takari have the Mercy DNA. The Como people also have Sudanic autosome. They cluster with Sudanic speakers as well, which is a Nigerian group of Bantus. Not Bantus. I'm sorry, I'm a little sleepy, but a Nigerian group of West Afrikaners. Let me go to Fulani. So it says here, the Hereros, where is that? The Monday and the Sun. I want the Dizzy and also they was talking about E1B1A not having Eurasian components. The Sun that we have 50, according to this paper here, 50% Afro-Asiatic. Here. Which we connected right here, Afro-Asiatic related. Furthermore, the Sun that we have high levels of Afro-Asiatic related light blue, approximately 50% Niger-Congo related, 25% ancestry. So, these people cherry pick this shit, man. It's just, you're not really doing this here, right here. Look what this quote says. The search for truth takes you where the evidence leads you, even if at first you don't want to go there. You got to accept that. If you're going to deal with empiricism, you're going to deal with evidence, deal with it. Read what it says.
It's a powerful quote.
Come on, man. You got to stop this, man. But y'all not going to stop it. You're just going to keep arguing and fighting with other races, which you actually love and you want to be around. This is what you spend most of your time with and majority of your conversations with on Facebook. Y'all click together. Y'all don't see me going into wars with you guys. I'm either cussing y'all ass out or, that's it. I'm not going to keep going into deep debates with y'all on stupid shit. You got people saying that this arrow right here means we're closer to chimps. That's not what that means. This is the dumb, retarded shit you have to deal with on this page here on Facebook. Jews versus Israelites. Right now, I'm browsing through this because I'm trying to find a particular. Here it is, right here.
Maybe. Okay.
The Fulani derive 50% of their ancestry from a population related to the Amhara and 50% from a population related to the Takari. So that's what this paper says. The latter studies are consistent with admixture analysis discussed above, and previous studies based on nuclear genomic variation suggesting that Fulani share ancestry with Afro-Asiatic speaking populations, just like the Sandawi in an admixed with Niger Congo speaking populations that they migrated across the Sahel. Right? So, using dates which uses the decay of ancestry coverance along the genome to date recent genome flow events, we estimated that Fulani admixture event occurred 90 plus or minus 40 generations ago, 1.4 to 3.8 thousand years ago, assuming 29 years per generation, corresponding with a later Holocene expansion events of nomadic pastoralists. And we done shows on that. Right? We've done plenty of shows on that. So then, now, what's the next argument? None of this shit stands with empirical data. Right? So let's go back here.
All starts to crumble and fall pretty quickly.
Yeah, it bursts at the seams.
Something of segregation, but it's not actually in the sense that you take it and the Americans in Little Rock take it. I mean, it's just very unprominent.
I mean, do you mean that you think that the other tribes are perhaps a little too primitive, for instance?
Not so matter of primitiveness or so. It's just a matter of ignorance, I shall say.
Oh.
I mean, the Amhara tribes are more cute and clever. And that's why, they're just...
That's your tribe?
Yeah, that's my tribe. I'm
That's
proud of
very
it.
modest, yeah.
Yeah.
And you, do you have whites in Ethiopia? White people?
Foreigners?
White people, yes.
Yeah, lots of them. We have the Americans, as a matter of fact. They're working in different departments. And I'd like to say one point on that. They seem to be more cooperative in... they looked as though they are cooperative in my country, and I thought it was because they were in a foreign country that they should cooperate. But no, I proved it right here. They come in, they have assemblies in communities and things like that. I mean, they are more cooperative than I actually saw it in my country.
Yoma, just to get back to another point, do you then think, for instance, it's fair that if there is discrimination in Ethiopia, even between, well, the same race and the same nation?
Not the same race, of course, the same nation.
The same nation.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think then it's fair to...
Yeah, what it said, not the same race, but of course the same nation. It's just racial typological thinking. That's the problem. It's the ideologues. It's the ideology. That's the issue. That all of these discussions are going to go right back to racism.
Yep.
He's looking at these people as a different race. So therefore, all of these negative attributes are coming after that. That's why we had to do a show about how you guys feel about black superiority in sports. That's racial essentialism. All this stuff bubbles down back to its core, its backbone, which is racism.
Judge South Africans as white towards black. If you don't, for instance, acknowledge the less good Ethiopians,
we do acknowledge them. I don't mean we don't actually consider our discrimination, what you call it, is not as prominent and worldwide known as in South Africa. That's it.
I swear, every time we think that Will and Jada Smith's relationship couldn't possibly end.
Stop it. God damn it. My man just took over the show. Go back to this, man. Let me close this out and go back to this. So his excuse was not well known. It's not widely known. That was an idiot, man. That was an idiot.
Yeah, he's definitely
so
not on par.
Let me go down here. Oh yeah, whoever did this is obviously a Photoshop job.
People do too much.
Y'all gotta stop this, man. Oh, my brain hurts.
Sit your ass down. Sit your ass down.
Bro, I had a whole conversation with that dude. You should see it, bro. I said, so where's the article? He said, I took that screenshot a couple of years ago. I'm like, you didn't keep the article? You took the screenshot?
Right.
Oh, no.
And y'all, that's why you need to do some research on what y'all share on the internet because I look at the picture, bro. It's all faded and it doesn't even look professional. But he
No,
tried to say this is the true face of King Tut.
that's obviously just completely Photoshop
Come on,
to the
man.
core.
And you had somebody passing off in this group as if this is like National Geographic. This is official. This is cemented proof that this is what ancient Egyptians look like. This is the idiocy, and y'all believe this because you're deterministic. So everything you say has to be true, no matter how false. Let me go down. I lost the comment, bro. I lost it.
You might have to go up actually.
Oh, there.
Yeah, right there.
That's painfully obvious. All right, so Ivry says here, if only you knew West Central Africans that are E1B1A carriers also carry Eurasian genes. This shows yet again that you don't know much when it comes to West Central African population. Here's another. Let me add to this. West Central Africans don't just carry E1B1A. You got T markers there. Now you got J markers there. You got R1B P25 markers there, right? You got A and B markers there.
Yeah, but I knew he was trying to throw jabs at specifically E1B1A.
Yeah,
so
but
I wanted to
I don't constrain.
emphasize that.
I got you, but I don't constrain that myself to whoever the person is because that's where the idiocy starts. Trying to demarcate everybody or try to minimalize the data instead of looking at the data for what it is. That's where the idiocy starts. Oh, let's look at this little fine point. No, that's not the way they're looking at it is not true. You have a multitude. I just shared a paper about Guinea-Bissau having a multitude of Y chromosome variations and mitochondrial DNAs. You have H markers in Cameroon. These are European markers. It showed up in a Shumlaka paper. So a lot of people, again, have these false dichotomies and then argue from these false premises and false dichotomies. No, you need to target the false dichotomy first and say, hey, this does not comport with reality.
No, that's a good point because there, like you said, there are markers like R1B seen pretty high in Cameroon. So, and that would be a Eurasian marker. So that alone would have pretty much shut him up. Although I kind of knew what route he was going to go, but yeah, that's a good point.
He says, Ivry, you black ass nigga. I know about it, and not everyone has it. You're making it sound like every African has it. Stop that, please. So that's another thing. This is the attitude of Lasagna as well. She'll get on here. Stop doing this, motherfucker. Anybody, who are you?
Exactly. Like
You
tell
gonna
me what
stop?
to do.
Niggas is gonna keep doing whatever the fuck. You are not the extreme authoritarian or totalitarian. And so when you say something, we jump. Or we say how high when you say jump. Like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Y'all get on the internet and this shit pump y'all head up to think y'all something y'all not. Y'all think y'all Mussolini. You motherfuckers think you Mussolini because you didn't type the damn comment and you think, oh yeah, I just killed them niggas. They better stop doing whatever I tell them to stop doing. That shit dumb. Like, just have a conversation. All this extra shit is retarded. He said, stop that, please, you black ass nigger. And then Avery responds, Absalom, see, there you go. You don't know. Every West Central African that carries E1B1A does carry Eurasian DNA. And Absalom says, Avery, black ass nigga, if that were true, then all Africans without exception would be carrying Neanderthal genes, and that's not the case. Oh, he
got him.
He drove the knife into himself right there. What's that Japanese suicide
Who
ritual?
committed, I think it's called Sudoku.
Yeah. So this shit is retarded, man.
Sit your ass down. Sit your ass down.
Oh my god. So let's talk about this for a minute. Let's unpack this before we go on. It says, if that were true, then all Africans, without exception, would be carrying Neanderthal genes, and that's not the case. And then he got a love. Someone loved this post, like, yeah, you tell that nigger. You tell him. You correct him.
Uneducated people liking his posts.
Same thing happens in Black Hebrew Israelite groups. Some motherfucker be like, "Oh, all Jews are Khazarians." Everybody be like, "Yeah, like." Oh, yeah. All the Jews are the reason why black people went to slavery. Like. Yeah, right. Con, brother, con. All this other dumb shit. This is basically what you guys are seeing is a sample, but this is basically all you get on these platforms.
Yep.
This is why I don't really engage much. I'll look in there and say, okay, that's dumb, that's stupid. Why am I here again? Leave. That's what happens. So as you can see, they have that support. But there's a paper that was written, 2020, Avery?
2020, 2022, couple of papers.
There's one in particular.
2018.
There's one in particular I want.
Yeah, there's a lot of papers that talk about it.
Admixture
Neanderthal DNA in West Africans.
Into Africans by non-Africans. You gotta commit all this shit to memory because these people are dumbasses.
That's why I bookmark everything.
All right, so if you go to this paper here, and I want the full text, not the abstract. And it's just one part. Remember, he said, "Oh, it will be in all Africans," and he's saying that in hope that you can't prove that, right? That's why they try to make these different benchmarks to try hoping that you can't meet those benchmarks. But it's not us meeting those benchmarks. It's the scientists, it's the community that's actually going out and sequencing the genomes that are reaching those benchmarks. And that's why you have to have an open mind when you're pro-science. I'm going to show this again. The search for truth takes you where the evidence leads you, even if at first you don't want to go there. You don't want to think like this because you've been taught of racial essentialism. You have been taught that races have defined, distinct lines and no one can cross or bleed over within a black race or white race. All those are false ideologies. And the genes in your body tell a different story. Like a lot of you racist African Americans, a lot of you guys actually descend from white men, white European men that probably was walking around skipping, talking about some Cheerio and all that shit. But that's what the genes show you. So let me go to this paper here. We're gonna hard search it real quick, and I'll put it in the chat for any of you guys that are pro-literacy and want to read it for yourself. You'll have it. You know what I'm saying? So boom, there's the paper there. And the title of this paper is Ancient Admixture into Africa from the Ancestors of Non-Africans. So
great paper.
We're gonna hard search and then type in all. What does this say right here? What does that say? Hold on.
Blow it up.
Let me blow it up for you. What does that say? Go. Less gene flow to Central and South African hunter-gatherers. Watch what it says. First sentence, and we're done with the paper. We infer substantial Eurasian back migration into all African groups.
All African groups?
I'm done. End of the video. Good night, y'all.
And that guy who I'm commenting against is supposed to be like a guru in the DNA and the genetics, because everybody was asking him to come to Jacob Israel's room from another DNA Facebook room. This dude don't even know simple genetics. Don't even know that Africans have Neanderthal DNA, and he's their best guy. Like if this is your king, then you're dead.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Bro, I need that meme. Is this your king? Because he got slaughtered.
Is this your king? Huh? Is this your king?
Yeah, this is why every time we get on here and read these studies, it's like, stop trying to esoterically read this like it's a goddamn
Harry Potter book.
Yeah, like it's not even Harry Potter, like some kind of deeply Illuminati coded, secret paper, man. This
Enoch something.
secret swirl scholarship. No, bro, this is not no damn esoteric literature. It's very simple, very plain. We infer substantial Eurasian back migration into all African groups.
Yep.
All right, it's just
And
that
think and
simple.
speaking of esoteric, weird type of stuff, I kind of finally figured out what Danoy, aka Biblical DNA, was saying when he kept on repeating that we are hybrids, we're half breeds, where our blood is tainted. Bro, he basically thinks that we are Nephilim. When you think about it, that's what he thinks. He thinks that archaic humans are like the seed of humans and angels that came together and we descend from that. He literally has the Nephilim doctrine. He thinks archaic humans are Nephilim, bro.
What the hell you say?
When you think that's literally it.
Mm-mm-mm.
So he's just as much as a BHI as a BHI.
I asked this brother asked you a question. He said, "What's up, y'all? Is the Gulf of Mizraim, the Gulf of Mexico, the cradle of civilization, or not?"
Do you know him? Is he a regular on the channel?
I don't know who this brother is. Chief Standstill Red Hawk.
Okay, well, I'll answer it and then I guess I'll let you shoot answer it. But I never heard. Well, I guess he said the Gulf of Mexico. So no, I don't. From everything that I've read in terms of the origins of civilization, the Gulf of Mexico is not the cradle of civilization. The cradle of civilization would be the Fertile Crescent. The Fertile Crescent is located in the Middle East and northeastern Africa. The reason why it's called the Fertile Crescent is because all throughout the area of basically Mesopotamia, the Levant, and the Nile Valley, it was fertile and it makes a crescent shape, hence the term Fertile Crescent. And that's where we start to see farming. That's where we start to see agriculture, like the Natufians who were in the Levant. They were some of the first farmers, pastoralists, and agriculturalists. It's in this sliver of land in the Middle East and Northeast Africa that we see the birthing of civilizations like Sumer, Akkad, Egypt, the Canaanites, etc.
Yeah, man. Just
Maybe
type in
she will have
oldest.
a different way of saying it than how I said it.
We said I used to think that too. Oh, he enlightened.
You got enlightened, brother.
Brother, are you what do you call it? Aboriginal?
Oh, interesting.
Chief Standstill Red Hawk. If you are, then D Red probably directed you to my channel, and we talking about something totally different. But what's going on, man?
Yeah, we're talking about yeah.
All you gotta do is trace farming. So who are the first farmers?
Natufians. Or technically speaking, Neolithic Levantine populations, PP&B, PP&A, pre-poverty Neolithic, but
If you want to find the cradle of civilization, you find you look for the first farmers, and the first farmers, as you can see here, anybody can do this. Ain't no secret swirl scholarship going on here. The earliest farmers live in the Fertile Crescent.
Yep, just like I said. Yep.
A region in the Middle East, including modern-day Iraq, Jordan, Syria, Israel, Palestine, southeastern Turkey, and western Iran.
Actually, pull up a map of the Fertile Crescent so he can see what that geographical region looks like. It's literally like a crescent shape. You see that right there? Mesopotamia, the Levant, and the Nile Valley.
So that's where civilization, that's the cradle of civilization. It's not Mexico or anything like that, brother.
Yeah, because we even see things like not even just the first farmers and first pastoralists and agriculturalists. We also see some of the first languages. written languages. Like the Sumerians were the first to, like, I guess, write down languages, or not write down, but use cuneiform to create languages. This is also where you see possibly the origins of Proto-Afro-Asiatic, one of the largest language families in the world, with tons of religious significance. Because from Afro-Asiatic you get the Torah, the Bible, Islam, Christianity. So it's all in this part of the world.
Yeah, man. Simple stuff. As you can see right there, the first towns, Jericho. How old is Jericho?
Jericho goes back to the Neolithic with the Natufians. They were the first to start building, I guess you could say, um, what's the word? Like villages that were large settlements.
Here's Khan Academy. Jericho is the oldest city on the planet.
Yep.
Situated today in the West Bank region of the Middle East. The location and long-term survival of the city is an excellent example of the impact of the environment on human history.
Shout out to Haplogroup E, because it was likely E markers who built Jericho.
He's like, so I'm assuming y'all don't trust or understand that the Americas are more ancient than the Middle East, etc. Give me some verifiable sources, and we can talk about what the sources say. The information.
First define what you mean by oldest, though, because that's what got me. He says more ancient. Like, what does he mean by that? Because the Middle East and Americas are both the same age in terms of geographical location.
I would have to assume he's talking about the first people to get state formation, laws, governance, farming, so on, to see civilization, legal codes, and stuff of that nature. And again, those things are found much earlier in the Middle East than they are the Americas.
Mm-hmm. By E markers, by the way, I would reckon that E markers were some of the first to start civilizations, but that's just me.
I mean, the evidence points that direction.
Yep.
The evidence points to that direction, man. So it's like
Natufians, Akkadians.
Again, we got to go back to this quote, man. The search for truth takes you where the evidence leads you, even if at first you don't want to go there.
Yes. 100%.
Chief Standstill Red Hawk.
Actually, tell Chief about the debate that's coming up. Maybe he'll enter the thing.
Yeah, we're having a tournament, a debate tourney, and anybody's welcome to join. Yeah, it's $20 admission fee. But if you're the last man standing, you get $500 reward. It's a $500 cash spot, and you get a chance to challenge me for my heavyweight championship title. He says, no, I mean in the pyramids, the Midwest and West Coast of America, the land of Canaan.
He's an Israelite. He's not an Abo. Well, I guess he's an Abo Israelite.
I don't know. I don't even know how to character. I get lost in some of these groups.
Because he says right here, I'm going to put it up there on the screen. Indeed, the children of Israel are descendants of the Americas. So he's like an Abo. He's either an Abo Israelite or he believes in the 12 tribes chart.
It sounds like he's going the Darvish route, Jerusalem. I guess he believes that Israel.
This is Darvish now.
No, it's not Darvish, but I'm saying Darvish has been on the channel and made those same sentiments that Israel is located in America. That this is all false. There's no history, archaeology, anthropology, or genetics backing any of that up. You know what I'm saying? That's why, again, we always say don't be a know-it-all, be a show-it-all. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, if you want to win $500, Chief Standstill, enter into the debate tournament. That $500 for free. If you
are the last man standing in the 16-man tournament, just email me, bro. Just email me here, man. Look, you can email me.
Set up a debate topic as well. Like if you want to debate about the location of Israel, which I will probably be debating, just, you know,
Yeah, Sunday we're having a show. It's a great time to, promote that show real quick. Let me pull up the flyer. Yeah, just email me. Do you have a Facebook? We're active on Facebook, and we'll give you the details on
it's
how to
got to have
join.
Facebook. Yeah, get that $500 if you win. Got to win though.
So let me see if I can find a flyer. Everything gets buried on Facebook. So this Sunday we're having a call out. Matter of fact, you can just come on the show Sunday and tell us, "Hey, I want to join this tournament. I want to win $500. I think I got the knowledge to beat all you up, and with the information, and I'll be the last man standing to snatch that $500." Um, we're having an event this Sunday on the 12th at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, and the Source Debate League. You can see it on this channel here, Genesis 49ers. It's called the Great Call Out. So people that are already involved in the tournament, I think we got 14 debaters. We need 16, so you can be the 15th debater. Are going to be calling each other out on what topics they want to debate and who they want to debate in the first round of the 16-man tourney. All right, so tune in on this channel on the 12th at 3 p.m. Or you can just
Let's
email
see
me.
if you have what it takes to win $500.
You can email me at hebrewjedi@gmail.com, and I try to hook you up on Facebook with the group. I'll put you in the group where the debaters already are, and you guys can start sparring.
And again, if you want to debate the topic of the location of Israel, then come Saturday and offer that up as a debate topic.
Sunday.
My bad, Sunday.
Yeah. With that being said, bro, you're welcome on our channel. You're welcome on our platform. We want to call anybody out, challenge anybody to. We do actual debates with presentations. So just know that we are structured in the way we debate. With that being said,
it's funny you do that, by the way. I always think about that when you say that, because if it were up to me, like if I was the head of the whole debate thing, I would just say bring whatever you want, because it's ultimately it'll be that person's own fault if they didn't have a presentation. If they spent their 15 minutes trying to look stuff up, like that's on them. Like that's why it's interesting that you say they have to have a presentation, because I wouldn't say that personally.
Yeah, but then we'll be everybody else and we're not.
Wait, say again?
I said then we'll be everybody else and we're not.
Oh, okay.
Okay, watch this. Let me go over here. Let me go down to the summation of this paper real quick, right?
You go into that chart which shows the gene flow and the bottleneck. I'm slurring my words too because I'm sleepy, but
yeah, I'm tired, man. I worked very, very hard today.
Was it an extra long day? Because you are more tired than normal.
Definitely don't have a desk job. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Watch this same paper. Back to what we were talking about on the dudes like there is no pretty much Neanderthal admixture within Africans. It says our findings are more consistent with several other published observations. Let me go up. As previously been suggested that Eurasian back migration may be responsible for Neanderthal material in Africans. However, we find no evidence for an enrichment of Neanderthal-like material in putatively Eurasian-derived genomic segments in Africans. So what all this is saying is, because most people say, oh, they got it recently. No, it didn't. They did not get it recently. And again, let me keep reading. So indicate that Neanderthal integration into Eurasians occurred after the African integration event we study here, or that further population structure in the Eurasian ancestral population precluded substantial transmission of Neanderthal material into Africa. So this is very old introgression. This has nothing to do with, the colonization of Africa, which most people are the Arabs. right? Because that's what they're trying to say when you mention this. No, this is actually old Neanderthal admixture that we're seeing here. Our findings are consistent with several other published observations. Migration rates estimates using MSMCIM revealed high levels of admixture at times comparable to our results. The correlation intensity function additionally shows similar histories between sub-Saharan African and Eurasian groups with high correlation intensity and epochs consistent with our inference and those of MSMCIM, supporting both an early split between groups and a substantial replacement of genetic material more recently than 100,000 years ago. Evidence has been mounting for multiple migrations into the Eurasian continent, possibly mediated by climatic drivers. Eurasian backflow during the Holocene has well been established. But earlier migrations have also been proposed before based on observation of spatial distribution of Y chromosome or mitochondrial haplogroups. So again, all that's saying is a very fancy way of saying that you had people coming into Africa for tens of thousands of years from Eurasia.
Facts.
And vice versa. There are no such thing as static populations, as these people try to say. It says here, at the same time, evidence has been mounting for extreme heterogeneity in the history of sub-Saharan Africans. That shows you that all Africans are not the same. Why? Because they've been moving, migrating, and mixing. It says, with several unsampled populations theorized to have contributed to various points in the past. In light of these recent studies, the observation in this paper adds a growing body of evidence for complex population structure and migration surrounding the outer Africa event, leading to substantial replacement of the African population in the late Middle Paleolithic. And who are these people that were replacing these Africans that were Eurasians 70,000 years ago? Ding, 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 ding. The ancestral E carriers. That's who they were. Right? Our ancestors were those Eurasians coming in, quote unquote,
And this
70,000 years ago.
and this is why a sub-Saharan West Central African origin of E1B1A makes absolutely no sense. This is exactly why, because the ancestors of the E1B1A markers and the E1B1A markers themselves would have carried Eurasian DNA into West Central Africa. This paper actually can technically proves it because it has a chart that shows how the Eurasian DNA went into sub-Saharan Africa or went into Africa in general. And the only reason the pygmies, there you go, there it is right there. The only reason the pygmies, like the Mbatwi and the Baka, have Eurasian DNA is from West Africans because the West Africans had it, and their ancestors would have been Eurasians basically.
Yeah, that's what this chart shows. The outer Africa bottleneck forming these other groups. And then you have the green arrows, which is asymmetric admixture from ancestors of non-Africans 30 to 70,000 years ago.
Going into Eurasians, non-Africans. Go ahead.
Right. We see it coming into the ancestors of Western and East Africans. It's going also into the ancestors of the Mbuti and the Bianca, and also lastly into the Khoisan groups, the ancestors of Khoisan. And then you see number 2, West African admixture to the Central African hunter-gatherers, as you can see right here. We bleed over into these groups as we displace and replace them, as Vicente says in his paper, and he illustrates in his paper. That's the history of our ancestors, merging into Africa. That's why we have the Neanderthal component, and that's why it's greater in us, or greater in E carriers than it is central hunter gatherers, as the paper says. We can go back up to that where it says all Africans. Let me go back. We infer substantial Eurasian back migration to all African groups. However, the inferred IMFs for individuals from Khoisan populations are significantly lower than for any other group, difference with Niger-Cordorfians. It says here, to further support this observation, we use MSMC to estimate the relative cross correlation rate for several populations and find evidence for gene flow between Yorubans and Eurasians that is not shared with the Khoisan individuals and either the SGPD and the HDPD. These results are consistent across Eurasian donor populations. Khoisan individuals are particular outliers whose ancestors are inferred to have experienced approximately half the amount of admixture seen in the Nilo-Saharan and Niger Kordofanian groups. In addition, we found that Mbuti and Bayaka, both Central African hunter-gatherers, show levels of Eurasian gene flow that are intermediate between levels observed in Khoisan and Yorubans. This is mirrored by inferred IMFs for Central African hunter-gatherers, which are significantly lower than other Niger Kordofanian groups, possibly reflecting proposed early split times of Mbuti and Biaka from the remaining ancestral African population 60 and 200,000 years ago. So again, as we read here, the Yorubans and Eurasians and find evidence for gene flow between Yorubans and Eurasians that's not shared with the Khoisan individuals. That's what the paper's saying. We don't have to esoterically read this or try to give it some kind of Masonic deep meaning or something like that, or read into it. The paper says what it says. They mix with Eurasians. It's that simple.
It is what it is.
And that's the motherfucking deal. Let's go back to the Facebook page. Again, here's the paper again. I'll put it in the chat again. Anybody can have it. Boom. We ain't got no secret swirl scholarship over here. There you go. So let's go back to the Facebook comment. We'll entertain this a little bit longer. So it said here, we go down, 9 replies.
Can't see your screen, by the way.
So this is the comment section here. It says here, Avery says, see, there you go. You don't know. Every West Central African carries E1B1A, does carry Eurasian DNA. Avery Israel, if that were true, then all Africans, without exception, will be carrying Neanderthal genes, and that's not the case. He went for absolute case. He said all of them have to carry it. You know, every single one.
And the thing is, they do.
And they do, but he went for this as if, I know he can't prove it because, I went with the absolutism, which where it's very hard to prove all of any damn thing, right? That was the point of this. He thought you could, but there's a paper that literally says that. And he says, Absalom, see, there you go. You just proved that you don't know anything about West Central African genetics, specifically those that carry E1B1A, because actually those West Africans do indeed carry Neanderthal DNA and Eurasian DNA.
Who did the sad face?
Absalom.
Oh, okay.
And it says here, recent studies have shown that though modern West Africans do not have Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA ancestry, there may have been introgression by other ancient hominids in their past. And he uses that to try to say, oh, see, I told you so. What's this? Absalom says after Avery said after sequencing the Neanderthal genome, a team of Princeton researchers led by Joshua Key discovered that all modern humans carry some Neanderthal ancestry in their DNA, including Africans, which was not previously known. James,
I got no like for that. He's getting all these likes and stuff, but I got nothing.
I got you. Where is the love? There you go. And then Absalom says, then you respond, you're about to get this work like all the people before you. But then Absalom says, Avery, you's a black ass nigger. Are you sure it's in every West African population? I'm pretty sure I read when the study first came out, it was only some West African ethnic groups that carried it, and that was a result of inherited from their ancient North African ancestors. That's not true. And wait a minute, the ancient North African ancestors mean it was them.
Literally, bro. Like he does.
But it's 70,000 years old.
Right. It's probably basal Eurasian more than the North, more than Ibero-Mauritian, because Ibero-Mauritians don't go back 7,000 years ago.
Right. He says here, for example, you black ass nigger, Moda was assumed to carry Eurasian, but then it was discovered it was a software glitch. So unless several studies verify the claim, I'll take it with a pinch of salt. There are several studies that verify that claim.
Literally.
And that's not the error that they found. The error that they found was that the that at the time the Eurasian DNA was more widespread than they thought. But actually, it came out to be true that was the case. The Eurasian DNA did spread all the way to West Africa. And then Absalom You respond to ASLA. No, it's in all West Africans, and not referring to study you posted. I'm referring to far newer studies from 2020 to 2022, which
And
we
he
just
hasn't
read.
said nothing. Yeah, go ahead.
And we just read one, the admixture into Africans from non-Africans. That was published in 2020. Um, let me go to it.
And as you can see, in the past 2 days, he hasn't said nothing else to me.
No.
He knows.
Yeah, because this is what the racial determinism does. He has this idea about a people group, and he can't be wrong about it because he goes off of axioms and not off the evidence. Again, this is what you need to start doing. Start practicing this and quoting this as your credo, right? As your credo.
It's funny
The
when
search for truth. The search for truth takes you where the evidence leads you, even if at first you don't want to go there. All people should have that damn mentality. Everybody should have that mentality.
it's funny when he tries to speak with such authority when it comes to West Central African populations, but knows absolutely nothing about them. Because that's what he almost always talks about on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be calling him out every time. I told him to debate me on YouTube, but he didn't want to do it. He was too scared.
Of course, they never do. Why would they do that?
Yeah, I know, but I just want to get in that conversation with him so I can screenshot it and use it for the future.
Yeah,
You's a coward, and I got
see,
you red-handed. Go ahead, my bad.
I was just talking about this here, Mandinka. Oh God.
That's why it's best to just block me if you're gonna be stupid and racist in terms of genetics.
Oh, we were talking about this too, and I'll put this paper in the chat as well. Anybody can read this. Gogolin 2017. Right? Reinforcing that Holocene ancestry that we see being distributed in West African people today. As you can see here, the Tanzania Pemba 600 BP. But this is the point I want right here. The Mandinka from West African coast are fitted as having 2.8 plus or minus 0.6% Levant Neolithic related ancestry. This is PPNB is what it's dating to. So that's Neolithic related ancestry. How do you explain that? We've read papers on PCA results that show the Bantu have a Bronze Age Levantine component. These people are moving. They're migratory, right? They're very migratory. And I've been sharing a few things in my group here. Let me get out of this damn cesspool known as Jews versus Hebrew Israelites on Facebook.
I got something to show too when you're done.
Let me get out of this and go somewhere else that's more productive, like the Genesis 49 resource page. Where we actually share information so people can learn. Y'all fucking just put stuff out there to try to lambast people all day. That's the only objective of these groups. It's all about lambasting. And I'm a good lambaster. I will lambast the shit out of you, right? But I try to educate y'all, man. That's mainly my focus here. I'm always reading, studying, trying to learn and get a grasp of concepts, somebody's been Rudy. Somebody's been flooding it. But
Can't see your okay, never mind.
Yeah, I'm looking at I'm trying to get there first. So I've been talking about the Dahar Chit, the first West African agropastoralists. These people migrated from further north, bringing with them technology not known to the region beforehand. This fits with the Icarians migrating from the north and bringing the agro-pastoral lifestyle with them. So when he said they're North African antecedents and ancestors, yeah, but they're the same people. Those are the people they come from. I don't know why was that even the point. That made no damn sense. And then in the paper here, the book here, Oxford Handbook of Archaeology, which I read a whole chapter live on. Let me see if I can get this. There we go. Boom. It says one of the first instances of food producing communities known in research also lies on the Sahara-Sahel border, specifically in southeastern Mauritania along the escarpment of the Dahar Chit, Walata, and Nema. This area has yielded many sites dated to the second and early/middle first millennium BC of a population that has for decades been associated with the rise of an agro-pastoral economy. As there are no known precursors for this site, this economy may have come about through migration rather than through the further development of a local population. Let me read that again. This economy may have come about. This is looking at the evidence and letting the evidence lead you, not your presuppositions about racial groups. As there are no known precursors for these sites, this economy may have come about through migration rather than through the further development of a local population. This is what the researchers are saying, right? Um, It says here this may indicate that domestication itself took place elsewhere, perhaps further north, and that the settled community with its agro-pastoral economy came into the Chetwalata Nama region as a. Well, I didn't get the rest of that. I'll pull it up in my book. Right. But these was obviously people that migrated. Oh, yeah, I did get it. Here it is here. Why didn't it pop up? Why didn't it pop up right here? As a complete package. And as you can see here, the chart to shit is right here in Mauritania. And the ancestors of this agro-pastoral group, which is most likely Monday related people. That's why I showed you the Mandinka, which are a Monday group, a Western Monday group that also harbor these 11 genes. Right today, they still were able to retain those from, the deep past. The group that was here had to come from the north, and we read a whole book about the Saharan technology, where they was getting the irrigation techniques and tools from, the metallurgy from. We all know that comes from the north, right? And domesticated animals. In order to domesticate animals, you need people to domesticate them that are familiar with those breeds. All of that culminates, the DNA culminates to show that these people were on the move. They were not stationary. And again, most of these antecedents to the later West African empires in the Common Era are all up here in Mauritania and Mali. This is north. This is the Northwest Africa, right? And they came from even further north in times past. That's why it's very interesting in the Saharan Technologies book. It talks about that the trek from Kirkwine, which is all the way in Libya, and that technology making its way to Bagaras and stuff like that, making its way all the way into Burkina Faso, Mali, and Mauritania, and even deeper south into Nigeria and the No culture, so on and so forth. We've read those books, we read those sources. See, we actually read sources here. Y'all don't. Anyway. Let me see if I can get this to go down. All right, let me close that. So again, these people have been Monday people. Let me show you here.
Give me a few minutes. I'll be back.
Okay, cool. That's the source I just read to you guys about the Mandinka. You guys have been very active in this group, huh? See Avery with the repost. That's my post on the coma. So who would best fit these first agriculturalists in the heart to shit? I'm going to show you. This is why chromosomal diversity in populations of Guinea-Bissau, a multi-ethnic perspective. And in this paper, it says, based on the high frequency of macro satellite diversity E3AM2 in the Mandinka and Balanta, we suggest that these people may have experienced particular benefit from food production. If so, this might associate their ancestors with the people who implemented the farming habits in the Guinea-Bissau area. The Mandinka are physically and culturally descendants of the Mundi, protagonists of agricultural population expansions in Niger, Mali, and the Burkina Faso region, and rulers of the West African Black empires based on trade and agriculture. So these would be predominantly E1, B1A carriers that are initially coming from the north and then going down and into Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, so on and so forth. Mauritania with the heart to chit, right? Let me get out of that. So I've already read that one. I feel like I put something else here. South Africa was I could it there. All right, that's it right there. Point is, the Monday people will best fit the hard to chit and that early or first agro-pastoral evidence that we have in West Africa, or the antecedents of those people, rather. With that being said, let me go to, as you can see, the Mandinka have about 3%, TPNB 11 DNA. I thought I had another source on the Monday. Maybe I'm misremembering something here. Even with that being said, Avery, what did you want to share?
I want to share this one thing, then we can close it out. So I made a post in the not biblical. I made a post in Jacob Israel's room, and y'all should be able to see right here. Tell me if you can see it. Just shoot. I made a post right here. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Saying, does anyone believe the ancient Egyptians could or would have carried sub-Saharan African DNA, and more specifically, West Central African DNA, whether it be sub-Saharan African autosomal DNA or Y DNA haplogroup E1B1A? Yes or no, and please elaborate as to why or why not. Thank you. And the reason I asked this question was, one, to see if anybody would, if people would tell the truth at all, and when it came to these questions, and two, to see if people would be objective and not subjective. I wanted to narrow out and see, what type of people would actually be able to say as a scientist, the possibility that yes, there could be, because I don't think anybody can say definitively no, there wouldn't have been. So the comments were, for the most part, pretty decent. Obviously, you had a couple of no's, and then you had some yeses, and you had some people who were objective and said there could be a possibility. But here is a person who is subjective. So let's just scroll down and see. So I don't agree with this person's comment, Prince. I'm going to call him Prince Uri. I only agree with a part of it. He says, actually scroll up so I can see where it's coming from. See right here. So he says, Pharaoh Ramses III and his people is E1B1A. He's right about that. And then he says, I'm E1B1A. We are related. The rest of the pharaohs was Cush, E1B1B. That part I disagree with. But let's just go to the next comment. So Abraham Ali responds saying they're going to retest a lot of these mummies from other studies using newer and better technology. And guess what? Ramses is not even going to be E1B1A. Even without retesting, it's so obvious right now, but no doubt when they sequence their genome, it will be concrete evidence. What's your thoughts on that comment, Jashu? By Abraham Ali.
It's determinism. It's racial determinism, and they're trying to make it spill over into genetics. That those two do not mix, because basically they have this idea about ancient Egypt, and in their mind, E1B1A can't be there, even though the Y DNA had already been called to be most likely an E1B1A descendant. And we're still waiting on this magical paper to say that, hey, it's something other than that. All I see,
I'm still waiting too.
Yeah, all I see is trolls on the internet saying that, oh, it's definitely going to be recanted, and if it does, it does. But you have no evidence of that.
Yeah, they're making these claims without even showing us where they first heard this from. Like, you can at least give us a screenshot of or a link to this supposed retesting, but they never provide any evidence.
No, there is no. This is just racial determinism. They're trying to bleed it over into genetic studies. The geneticists that first did the study in 2012 and then later they restated it in 2020, they still say it's E1B1A. That's what's
Exactly.
known now. So you have to go with what's known now. We have if there's an updated paper, wait till the updated paper. Y'all have already made the declarative statement that hey, he wasn't E1B1A.
And that's how
Based
you
off
know he's
nothing.
biased.
Yeah, based off nothing. Because you have this idea of racism, and you're trying to apply that, overlay it on genetics, and they don't mix.
Exactly. He says, I mean, he literally says Ramses is not even going to be E1B1A. Like, how can you make such a definitive statement like that? Obviously, you're biased and you're subjective. It's obvious, and no one should listen to you.
And that's not science. That's deterministic. Science is not deterministic. Science is probabilistic. That's what science is. You're trying to. Oh, I know for a fact. No, dude, it's not how it works.
Exactly.
We go. You have to. Science is. If we're dealing with empirical science, it's hard science. You just got to look at what the evidence is telling you. Right now, it's E1B1A. You have no evidence to say otherwise.
Exactly. And so another person, just going to read one more comment thread. But this person right here, this female, says, my father haplogroup related to Pharaoh Ramses III. It's in the same family as E1B1A as well. And she posts her father's 23andMe, which 23andMe, if any of y'all take a DNA test and you happen to have E1B1A, it would show that you and Ramses III have a paternal ancestor. And so that's what she shows. And then I tell her, thank you for answering my question. And as you can see, she got a couple of laugh emojis from some people. And you're about to see who are the ones who did it. They may have deleted their comment. Hold on. There was a comment, but it may have been deleted or it's on a different thread. Okay. Well, I was going to read something else, but I don't see the comment unless it's on a different thread.
They saw the show and heard up and deleted it.
You think so?
I don't know. I never put nothing past these dudes on it. They got spent so much time on the internet. They probably were watching and did that. You never know.
I might look and see in some other places here in a second, but yeah, there was a comment I was going to read, but it's not there. But let's look at the other comments, I guess. So this person, Edward, said no, they were genetically Middle Eastern. It is possible there could have been some intermarriage through treaties or something like that, but the Egyptians saw Black Africans as foreigners and separate from them. So his comment is a bit 50-50. He said no, and that they're genetically Middle Eastern, which I don't disagree with. There definitely was Middle Eastern Egyptians. But then he also says that there was intermarriage through treaties. So that would technically mean, yes, there would have been Egyptians with sub-Saharan African DNA and E1B1A if they're marrying those people. Because when you have a mixed kid, you're half of your parents. So it's like, I don't know, it's kind of weird comment. Anyways, I accepted it because I just want to hear people's thoughts.
Hold on real quick. Go back to that comment. That's very confusing and very, very misleading as well. Again, ideas of Black Africans, they didn't accept Black Africans. Are you even up to date on any of this, man? And this is why you have to be cross-disciplinary as well, bro, because these people will make up any damn claim and roll with it. Then they'll say, oh, Yashub is manipulating the information. When I'm the most forefront with my information, you can see where I'm getting my sources from. You guys pull things out of your ass and try to say it's science or it's concrete evidence. What person in that respective field would agree with what he said?
Nobody. They would not make that type of language.
Right. So
or say that type of language, my bad.
This is just stupid. All right, so that's addressed this. I always go to this book, Ancient Near Eastern History and Culture, Page 144. I always go here. So let me share my screen.
Oh, I know what you're going to quote. Basically, Egyptians and ancient people didn't see race the way we see it today.
No, it wouldn't be like, oh, wow, that's a black African. We don't fuck with them. No, that's some new modern racial bullshit. So let me read this. It says after 10,000 BCE, as the weather began to become drier. I don't know why I don't have this bookmark. After 10,000 BC, as the weather began to become drier, Egypt became a magnet for immigrants from North Africa, Sinai, Palestine, and southern reaches of the Nile. So ancient Egypt has always been a melting pot of different groups of people, right? As you can see, the Sinai, Palestinian, North African, and southern reaches of the Nile. And so these groups blended with one another to form the population of ancient Egypt, which physically was much the same in antiquity as it is today. In the Nile Valley, physical types varied so gradually that differences were perceptible only between places widely separated geographically. Skin color, for example, gradually changed from predominantly tan or olive in the Delta to an almost blue-black near the Nile sources. So you would have a range of skin colors in ancient Egypt. You would have had dark ancient Egyptians, and you would have had lighter skin types or pale skin types of ancient Egyptians. Um, Other physical features vary bit by bit along the same continuum, but such physical differences were not as important to the ancient Egyptians as to modern Westerners. The Egyptians did distinguish themselves as a group from Libyans, Nubians, Asiatics, and others in artistic representation by emphasizing any difference in facial features and skin tone between these groups and the average Egyptian. However, the main criteria Egyptians used to define themselves relative to others were cultural in nature. And here's another thing: they said they were different than the Anu, right, or the Asiatics. They saw those people as being foreign as well. So it had nothing to do with skin color or your ideas of racial hierarchy. That didn't exist in those days. You know, it was more imperialism going on. Does anyone who was born in Egypt, spoke the Egyptian language, and shared the Egyptian culture was an Egyptian, a true person? So it had nothing to do with how a person, oh, them black Africans, we don't fuck with them. Them darkies, we don't fuck with them. The Egyptians didn't think like that. Oh, them pale people, we don't fuck with. They did not think in those terms. That's you trying to retrodict your ideas of racial hierarchy and racial essentialism onto these ancient people, which these people didn't have a clue about that. In the ancient Egyptian language, the same word meant Egyptian in person. Outsiders were all thought to be somewhat inferior, but that was because of their cultures, not their skin colors. Foreigners spoke differently, dressed differently, often had a variety of strange beards, wore different hairstyles, and had different customs. To the ancient Egyptians, there was a world of difference between the Egyptian who lived in the Delta and his Libyan or Palestinian neighbors, even though they all might resemble one another physically. So again, it has nothing to do with how they look. In the same way, darker skinned Egyptian residents of Elephantine were people, while they're physically similar to Nubian neighbors just to the south were only wretched foreigners. And that's the motherfucking deal.
That's a good point, actually. Go ahead.
And this is why we show we're not know-it-alls, we show it alls. We show our information. We show you what the scholars, the up-to-date science, up-to-date anthropology, up-to-date whatever field we're dealing with. It's vastly different, and it's at odds with many of you Facebook groups, many of you social media terrorists, many of you kung fu masters at the art of keyboarding. It's vastly different. You're trying to overlay racism onto these fields, and they do not mix. Go ahead, brother.
Keyboard warriors. But yeah, what that person said in their book was very true. Like, when it comes to Egyptians in the South, they mentioned how Egyptians in Elephantine, even though they might look like people in Kush, they would still view the people past I guess, the ninth cataract or whatever as a vile, wretched Kushite. And that's something that's the reason why I pointed that out is because that's true. Upper Egyptians or Southern Egyptians are typically darker skinned, look very close to people in Sudan and places like that, but they are Egyptian. But then you have Egyptians more towards the north, in lower Egypt, who are more lighter skinned and more Mediterranean looking, I guess you can say. So, and they would still view people in North Africa or the Levant as the other. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting and important to point out.
Right. Yeah. Anything else you want to read from those comments?
This comment right here, from Shelby, she said that Egyptian Achaemenid, I can't remember how to pronounce it, uh, Achaemenid period dated to 570 through 400 BC with the closest ancient samples. Those samples are actually not the oldest Egyptian samples. Again, Ramses III is from like the what Iron Age, and then we got Akhenaten and King Tut. Like we have a lot of old Egyptian bodies besides those. So I just want to point out that if anybody ever tells you that these are the oldest Egyptian samples from 500 BC, they're wrong. We have Egyptian samples from 1000 BC.
Yeah, you got the mummies. You got the Knock brothers. All them other. Was it the Knock brothers?
Yeah, the Khnum, Nakht, and Nakht Unk.
Mm-hmm.
That's from the 12th dynasty. That's technically the oldest.
Yeah.
Then again, we do have bodies from the pre-dynastic period who had sickle cell. That's not a Y-DNA haplogroup, but it is still a tested body. Let me see if I can find what I was looking for. And if I can't, then we can just end it. Let's see. You said something. Oh, it was this post. Well, did you want to tell the people about this post?
All right, so we got to stop going around, and I'm talking to you Afrocentrics and Black Hebrew Israelites. Stop going around showing Bush people, Sun people, and saying that, hey, everybody comes from us. African Americans do not derive the majority of their ancestry from the Sun. Stop it. We're not those
Unless
people.
you're 93.
Unless you're 93. Shout out 93. You ducked me. I wanted to go on your show and have a discussion, and you never said yay or nay. You guys always ducking, man, because you thought this Bond 2 was gonna hawk your ass down like we
Message
did.
him on Abu. He made a comment on Abu's latest video on E1B1A. Message
And
him.
I responded to him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what I'm referring to. Because you know how us Bond 2s do. You know how we do you, man. You A markers. We hawk your
Bro,
ass
he
down.
got PTSD. You about to remind him of the olden days, bro. You better watch it.
Remind him big gold Buddha chains and remind them of the good old days. But this right here is a farce. African Americans are not, you know, Sun people, are Sun descendants. I even said that in the chat here because they
Yeah.
posted this to say go
They
down.
said we produce all kinds of people. That's the comment right here.
Yeah, we produce all kinds of people as if we're the Bush people or Africa or we represent. That's not true. And the Bush people are the same age as everybody. Yes, they're genetically diverse. They do carry a lot of genes that give those expressions. That's what that paper actually goes into. That Danoid tried to use to try to say that we were archaic humans or some shit. But no, they are largely A markers. The Sun people are largely descendants of those early proto-Africans. We are not. We're actually descendants of CTM168, whether we're European or whether we are West African in our ancestry, whether paternal or maternal. And I'm talking about African Americans. We come from CTM168 for the most part. There's a very small percentage of us that are force, hunter-gatherer, or maybe Sun-related, or just A markers in general. Very small percent. We're talking about less than 2% of us that have that DNA, but majority of us are either European or West African in some regard, right? I have EU290, which is in North and Sub-Saharan Africa, and also plenty of African Americans are that, right? So the claim just bursts at the seams, and it's only going to get applauded by the lay people that don't know nothing. We are not the same as some people, and this comes from the idea that all Africans are the same. No, Africans have. Type this in Google. The greatest diversity. Hold on, Africa has the greatest genetic diversity. So if you type that in, Africa, the most genetically diverse continent, is where modern humans, Homo sapiens, originated. How is it going to be the most genetically diverse if everybody's the same? What does diverse mean? Come on, think. Use your noggin.
And you know the funny thing about this is that the person who made this post is obviously using like half and half genetics, half and half phenotype, because he has a picture of a Khoisan woman and a Chinese woman, and so he's phenotyping. He's trying to say like, oh, the Chinese descend from the Khoisan because they both have squinted eyes, you know. So it's like this whole I don't know.
Yeah, it's stupid. Yeah, that does not. Does not mean that Chinese people directly descend from Sun people as well. That's an error. You can't just look at people and tell where their ancestry come from.
Nope.
That is a myth. And I had to tell somebody, a couple people in this group, that like they'll show a picture and say these people are E1B1A and these people are E1B1B. How do you know that by looking at them? You must have a supercomputer in your head that can sequence genomes just by looking at people.
I know who you're talking about. That was actually the person who tried to say Africans didn't have Neanderthal DNA. It was the same person who made that post. Had an Arab guy on a donkey surrounded by black Africans. But honestly, it looked like that was Sudan. So those could have been, they all could have been J markers. Like literally.
Yeah.
Because Sudanese have a lot of J. But let me see if I can find what I was trying to find earlier. And then we can end the show if I can. But I saw that post and I was like, did you want to talk about it? Oh, man. Sad but funny at the same time.
We're not Sun people, man.
No, we are not. Now, if you're haplogroup A, sure, but we are not. Shabbat shalom.
You guys just trying to join with the white man. You guys hate yourselves. You guys are race traders. All this other bullshit.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of vanilla. No, I'm playing.
We're the only channel that's gonna give you guys a fair assessment of everything. Not saying that we're mistake free or nothing like that. We're not omniscient. But listen, we are going to try to present you information, give you the sources. So hey, you don't have to believe what the hell we say. Go read it your goddamn self. Without my narration, right? Just go read it. Sit down and ponder on these things. Understand it without readers. And all I get it for understanding, like the good book says, right?
I missed these posts. I didn't even see this. This was 2 days ago.
Yeah, those are those three. Those are those three mommies. They sequenced the Y chromosome DNA. One was E1B1B. I think the other two were J.
I will have to get some screenshots of these posts because I didn't see them. But basically, I'll take a look at this when I get a chance.
What did he say right there? Hold on, go back up.
Right here.
What was his original comment? Let me see.
Right here.
No.
Up here.
Yeah. What does that say? Answer: yes. They had some degree of sub-Saharan African DNA ancestry, but it all boils down to what proxies are used to represent sub-Saharan African DNA. Now, if they include a variety of sub-Saharan African proxies, the sub-Saharan African ancestry ancient Egyptians will show as Dinka or Moda Omatic, just as I've demonstrated in my pick, and they won't score in any West Central African. Now, if they don't include any other sub-Saharan African proxy and only use Yoruba, then obviously that's what will show up. It's not rocket science, but when a variety of proxies to use Dinka comes up on top, which makes it the most geographic, historical, and genetic sense. I also ran the same test using on my own G25 coordinates, and that for the Nek who's an even older Egyptian mummy. That's what we were just talking about from 1879 BC, and neither of us score West Central Africa. What do you mean neither of us?
He's talking about himself and
he put himself in it. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Score West Central Africa. We both scored Dika, and he scores a little Moda and Omatic.
Is this the picture he has?
No, that's not the Nunk. Those are the
Oh
three
yeah,
pharaohs.
that's not Anakum. You're right. Well, why did
Yeah,
he put that post right there? Then that's weird. Anyway,
but the pharaoh had a Eurasian clade, and I can't think of what it is. Is it K2? I think it was K2.
no, it's H.
Was it
Why?
H?
Yeah, he had YDNA H, like
Why
a
DNA
Davidian.
H? Yeah. He had a very rare DNA.
Yeah, that's
DNA
super
marker.
rare.
Mhm.
Then this is his next comment. He says, "My results plus results of Nak 1879 BC mummy. Neither of us carry West Central African. We both carry Dinka ancestry, just as the three previous mummies did, and Nak Unk also scored some Mota slash Omatic. This is interesting post because this looks very similar to the other we call it the other
Danoy.
Danoy format.
We are
Like
many Legion. We just gonna call them Legion for now. We are many, man.
yeah, Legion. It looks exactly like so. This is another Danoy account. Abraham Alley claims to be from Alexander each. That's freaking Danoy. Anyways, your results match me saying. All right. Anyways,
It says nice proxy with the Dinka. It says nice. Yes, you are correct. Modern Egyptians are roughly 8% more sub-Saharan, but as you see, it's Dinka in my case, which makes sense given the historical connection and geography. I've also got a Coptic Sudanese great grandmother, so surprised it's not higher.
all right. This isn't the comment I was looking for.
Oh, I was getting into it, man.
Oh, you were still reading it?
Yeah, he said something right here. Yes, because alongside haplogroup, certain disease like that's somebody else. I thought I was
No, that's
continuing.
all he said right there.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Then this person commented,
Yes, I believe so. One, common sense is my opinion. Ramesses third and so you won't be on AY DNA haplogroup. That is a fact. Ancient Egyptians from late to Roman period carried about 6 to 15% sub-Saharan DNA. Fact. Northern Africans today carry much less sub-Saharan DNA as a whole than they did during the early Neolithic period. Fact. 5. Look at what they depicted on the walls. My opinion to be continued.
yep. And again, I just posted some questions, got some pretty good answers and stuff. See all those. Because for some reason I couldn't see everything that I wanted to see, and I am perplexed by that a little bit. So somebody brings up slavery right here, talking about Egyptians and stuff.
Wait, what?
Talk about if they're like, all right. So they say ancient Egyptian samples on illustrative DNA barely have SSA. Some were between 0.2 and 1.2%, depending on which sample. The modern Muslim Egyptian. Say again.
That's true. They have very small sub-Saharan African inputs during that time.
Yeah, and it says the modern Muslim Egyptian has about 12%. Modern Coptic Egyptians has about 5%, less than Muslim, since they are more idimo.
Where you at? Where you stuck on?
Again, tongue twisted at Indio.
What are you trying to say here? Less
right
than
here.
What? Endogamous.
Yeah, endogamous. My eyes. The Arab slave trade post-Islam affected Egypt included. And then they said, I will grab illustrative DNA screenshots. I think these are, they bring up the slave trade, the Muslim slave trade, even though I was asking about ancient Egyptians, though. But yeah.
So I went and checked the paper about that West African thing, and it says, I guess modern. In contrast, a substantially larger sub-Saharan African component found primarily in West African Europe is seen in modern Egyptians compared to ancient samples. So are they saying the ancient Egyptians also had it, but just in smaller numbers?
That's what it sounds like, to be honest, because they didn't say wasn't there. Period. It was just that it was smaller
Mm-hmm.
to a lesser degree, but it was still there. So technically, by my question, people would have to say, yeah, there was
This small,
sub-Saharan African autosomal DNA.
yeah, very small autosomal, yeah. You see how we just go off the evidence instead of you got to try to. He be trying to that dude right there trying to explain away evidence. That's just weird shit, man. That's what determinists. You know, when you're deterministic, that's what you do.
Yep. Let me keep scrolling and see if I can find it. If I can't, then it is what it is. Oh yeah, here's another funny comment. Gosh, I gotta show you this one. So I asked that same comment in this room called Jewish/Christian debates, and you know, did the Egyptians carry West Central African DNA, E1B1A, etc. And then he said, this person right here. Let me see. Actually, I'm going to skip this comment. I want to read this one right here because I think this is a bit funnier. But he says, "You're welcome. Here is a shoe of King Tut. This is what Egyptians thought about African tribes." And then he has the shoe showing the Nubian. And then I asked him, I said, "Doesn't that show a Syrian on the left side of the sandal?" He hasn't messaged me back in the day. I'm like, bro.
Oh my god, bro. Is he serious? It's like these people see what they want to see. They're not really studying. Like you guys are not studying, you're just sharing memes, you're not reading this stuff.
This one sandal from one pharaoh is supposed to prove that Egyptians didn't have E1B1A or West Central African DNA. Like, and he doesn't even see the Syrian right here. Like, oh
man. Oh my god, bro. Hey, ancient Iranians. Oh, that's no, that's red. Ancient Iranian Neolithic had sub-Saharan African Yoruba DNA. They are using the Yoruba to test the sub-Saharan African DNA.
And what you
in the paper he was referring to, and he always trying to defer to the Dinka. They're not using the Dinka, they're using the Yoruba. The Dinka DNA is green, I think. Let's see. I just saw the name here. Oh no, they're not listed.
Show you can share your screen to show me what you're talking about so I can see.
All right, so this paper here.
Doing some other stuff while yeah, I think they deleted their comment.
Right here, this is ancient Egyptian. The red is Yoruba.
Yeah, or I'm looking.
What's interesting about this is, and I've seen this before, the Iranian Neolithic has red components up here. Which is
it looks kind of pink.
That's what I thought it was. If I say that pink, that's red. I can always open this up in the high res. Let's see this full size image.
Yeah, let's
see. That looks red to me. Yeah, that's red, bro.
Really?
That's fucking red. This is purple. That's red. That's red, bro.
Wait, what's purple?
To the left here. Iranian Chalcolithic.
That looks like the same color for the Iranian Neolithic.
No, this is purple. That's red.
Wait, point to what's purple?
That right there.
That looks like the same color to me.
This looks red on my screen, dude.
What looks purple is what's down there at Iron.
Right here.
Yeah, that looks purple.
This is purple up here too.
Really?
Yeah, because look, if you look at the Lebanese, they have the purple components up there too. And that's clearly not as dark as this. That looks red to me.
I mean, they both look kind of pink.
It a little red to me. That's what it looks like. I can't really tell, but that looks like this. And what we see here, because according to the paper, modern Egyptians have 8% more sub-Saharan African DNA, as we see here. And then the ancient DNA, the ancient Egypt have very small or negligible, and not even shown here.
Well, remember, that's according to, I think, either the 3 samples from the men or the 90 mitochondrial DNA samples.
No, the 3 samples from the men.
Okay, the 3 from the men, yeah. So it's only dealing with like 3 bodies from like a specific period.
Like a little bit of DNA here. It's not a high res picture, so I need a high res picture of that.
To get that, you might have to click it again.
Click what again? This?
Yeah, click the supplementary fig 4. And then push the which one would be? I guess supplementary data for it. And then it should come up on your computer.
Actually, that's good. Let me look at the spreadsheet.
As a file.
Yeah, that's a spreadsheet. That's not an image.
One of them is going to be a file. I don't know which one to push to.
But the part where he read and then he tried to move it to the Dinka, the paper actually just says Yoruba. Let me go to it. Right here. It says on the nuclear level, we merged the SNP data of our 3 ancient individuals with 2,367 modern individuals and 294 ancient genome, and performed PCA on the joint data set. We found that ancient Egyptian samples falling distinct from modern Egyptians and closer toward Near Eastern and European samples. And this is another thing I was busting Afrocentrics with, man. A lot of these ancient Egyptians were Europoid, man. It's just that simple. Ancient Egypt is not a repository of dark Africans or whatnot, are all black. It's a mixture. It's a hodgepodge. So in contrast, modern Egyptians are shifted towards sub-Saharan African populations, model-based clustering using admixture. Figure 4b, supplementary figure 4. Further supports these results and reveals that the 3 ancient Egyptians differ from modern Egyptians by a relatively larger Near Eastern genetic component, in particular a component found in Neolithic Levantine ancient individuals. In contrast, a substantially larger sub-Saharan African component found primarily in West African Yoruba is seen in modern Egyptians compared to the ancient samples. In both PCA and admixture analysis, we did not find significant differences between the 3 ancient samples, despite 2 of them having nuclear contamination estimates over 5%, which indicate no larger impact of modern DNA contamination. We use outgroup F3 statistics for ancient and modern Egyptians to measure shared genetic drift with other ancient and modern populations using Mbuti as outgroups. We found that ancient Egyptians are most closely related to Neolithic or Bronze Age samples in Levant, as well as to Neolithic Anatolian and European populations. When comparing this pattern with modern Egyptians, we find that the ancient Egyptians are more closely related to all modern ancient European populations that we test. And, when you read stuff like this to Afrocentrics, they'll try to argue and say, oh, no, that's just because the geneticists are Eurocentric. No, they're not. Not at all. You know how many papers they make on Africans? Anyway, all modern and ancient European populations that we tested likely due to the additional African component in the modern populations observed above. By computing F3 statistics, we determined whether modern Egyptians could be modeled as a mixture of ancient Egyptian and other populations. Our results point towards sub-Saharan African populations as the missing component. Confirming the results of the admixture analysis, we replicated the results based on F3 statistics using only at least contaminated sample with less than 1% contamination estimate. Find very similar results, supplementary figure 5, confirming that the moderate levels of modern DNA contamination in 2 of our samples did not affect our analysis. Finally, we used 2 methods to estimate the fractions of sub-Saharan African ancestry in ancient and modern Egyptians. So they all have it. It's just that the ancient Egyptians have very small percentages of it. Both QP atom and F4 ratio tests reveal that modern Egyptians inherit 8% more ancestry from African ancestors than the 3 ancient Egyptians do, which is also consistent with the admixture results discussed above. Absolute estimate African ancestry using these 2 methods and 3 ancient individuals range from 6 to 15%. And in modern samples from 14 to 21%, depending on the method and choice of reference populations. So ancient African or ancient Egyptian mummies, or whatever you want to call these 3 mummies, are 6 to 15% sub-Saharan African, and modern samples are typically 8% higher than that, 14 to 21%, depending on method and choice of reference population. So that's what the paper says. It says C supplementary note 1. Let me look at that real quick. Sample name. Data 1. Are you still there, Avery, or am I even online?
Yeah, you live, and I'm still here. I'm reading one of the comments to myself right now.
I'm just up here talking and talking and talking. I'm like, yo,
I hear you, but I was trying to figure something out about what somebody said. I was trying to make sure I was reading this right. But yeah, I hear you, and you're still live.
okay. I'm making sure I'm not, disconnected or nothing like that.
Did you find like a bigger, like a blow up of the picture or something?
No.
No.
Tables 5 through 8.
I was reading a comment about Nak Unk, and
here we go.
A person was talking about how they had no sub-Saharan African DNA or something like that, or it was Dinka related. And I would agree that Nak Unk seemed to have been pretty Eurasian. And I was rereading the comment because for a second I thought they said Kanun Nak, but they said Nak Unk. So
here's a good graph on this. Wait, was my screen sharing this whole time or no?
I saw your screen sharing when you came to the Egyptian study, but not this right here.
Oh, it is sharing. Okay. So y'all see my screen.
Zoom in, but it's small.
This is from the supplementary material.
Interesting.
You see the African component, non-African components.
So what is it mixed or something?
Yeah, former the Egyptian. This is a great one.
So the Egyptian has African DNA and non-African DNA.
Yeah.
And the African DNA, is it Yoruba or is it a different type of African?
The Yoruba and African stem from the same root.
Okay.
On a simplistic, phylogeny here. So similar analysis shown in Figure 5B, 5C, but use only sample K2911 as an ancient Egyptian sample instead of all ancient samples. Ancient samples are from Neolithic, Chalcolithic, or Bronze Age time periods as indicated suffix of respective population names. Oh, this is what it's talking about here. Ancient Egyptians and then modern Egyptians. Admixture scores. Well, less than 15 for got a Z score of 15. So you want to get the smaller the number, the greater the relation, if I remember correctly. Here we go.
All right, there we go. That should help us out.
Maybe that is a different red. I don't understand this color
here. Yeah, it looks pink.
That shit look red to me. Yeah, I need to go to sleep because that color looks too close to the yerba. Maybe I'm just seeing shit, you know?
I think it's I think it's pink. But in the past, when we talked about colors, certain colors, I would see something and you would see something different. I have noticed that when we talk in the past, like
Yeah, I guess it's violet. I don't get that, man. Why does it? They need to pick a different color. Like that look red like a motherfucker.
where's Egypt? I wonder
Um,
who I wonder who are the 14 people watching right now.
and where it says Eurasian plus SSA. Yep, Eurasian plus Sub-Saharan African. See, I know this is maybe that is a different color. Look at that
Yeah,
color.
that's pink, bro. That's pink. One's pink and one is like a blood red and like I
Pink.
don't know, just pink, I guess.
That look red to me. See, that is that color right there. Iranian Neolithic.
Hold on, zoom in some more. Let me actually hold on.
Maybe,
Let me do this.
maybe that's supposed to be oceanic. What the hell is that?
It is. Wait, hold on. What populations is that?
So Iranian Jew, Hazara, Chuvash, the Balochi.
Yeah, I think that's a different population because it's highest in the Mala.
Are these East Indians?
I
I,
think
wa-
it's some
I
type
wanted
of.
to, like Austroasiatic. What is that? I'm
I
not
think
sure.
it's some type of like
That is
Afghani.
a different color. You're right. That's a different color.
Afghani.
Yeah. They need to pick a something else, man. That's so confusing to me.
Yeah. So, all right. So it shows down there ancient Egyptian. But
Yeah,
what
from
people gotta understand that it is talking about three samples though.
yeah, it's only three. The ancient Egyptians, but they do. The ancient Egyptians do have African DNA. What was it? 5 to what was it? 5 to 14%. The paper said.
Yeah, it depends on the person. These specific three guys didn't. Two of them were J markers, and one of them was an E1B1B marker. So I'm not
Mm.
really that surprised. But other Egyptians, like I wouldn't be surprised if Ramses III had sub-Saharan African DNA. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. So try to see what this is here, where it says A with the Z admixture Z score.
Yeah, I guess that might. Well, actually, I don't know.
I guess it's saying that they're more closely related to these white spots here, which would
That's
be
what I was
mainly
thinking.
mainly Eurasian, because those Z scores usually the smaller the number, the more related that they are, and then the greater the number, the more distantly related they are.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yep.
it's
Yep. Yep.
five C.
Give me a second. I need to take care of something. I can still hear you, but I'm going to the other end of the room.
Yeah. Dark gray mark samples were included in further analysis. Gray mark samples were not included in analysis due to one better sample. Blindly pre-Ptolemaic period. Go down. Results of the genetic computation with
I think some of the
Harlequin
Ptolemy
between our.
bodies have sub-Saharan African.
Say what now?
Didn't some of the Ptolemy bodies have sub-Saharan African?
I'm not sure. I have to go to a paper that dealt with that.
Autosomally speaking, by the way, not widely.
Mm-hmm. We grouped
Because
all.
you matched them.
Oh yeah, I did. It did have Sub-Saharan African according to what's that? What's that guy's name?
Uh, Aaron L. Hike.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. I think some of them do because you matched them,
Mm-hmm.
and it showed that they had some African. Was it Forger or Stone Age something?
Yeah. Pre-Ptolemaic, Ptolemaic, ancients. How they compare them Modern Egyptians, Ptolemaic, and Roman.
Also, you got Ethiopian pagan.
That's Egyptian.
Oh wait,
Pagani. Oh, Ethiopian Pagani. I see what you're saying.
yeah.
Group ancient populations.
Wonder why they have Ethiopian. Like that's kind of weird. You would think they would have Sudan.
Y chromosome types. Yeah, I was right. One was E1, B1B, and the other two were J.
Yep. That's why I'm not surprised they didn't have sub-Saharan Africa.
Effective population size.
But people need to stop using those three guys and trying to say they represent all of ancient Egypt because that's just like they were found in I think the New Kingdom period. They're not pre-dynastic. They're not Old Kingdom. They're not Middle Kingdom. They're New Kingdom.
Like, I'm gonna use them smack up Afrocentrics.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead, but at the same time, when the white supremacists try to use it, or the Middle Eastern supremacists try to use it, they need to be reminded that that's not dynastic, that's not pre-dynastic, that's not Old Kingdom, that's not Middle Kingdom. They're New Kingdom, and those J markers probably were like foreigners that came into Egypt because Jade wasn't even in the Levant until the early Bronze Age. So when they got to Egypt, they would have got there even later. Jay came in.
It's the African ancestry in all three of. Oh no, more ancient samples. All of them have some kind of African.
Yeah, but they don't explain what it is. That's what ticks me off because they're not saying.
It says Yoruba.
Oh, okay.
They are using the Yoruba. Look, that's what it says. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I see.
They're using the Yoruba, just like the paper says. He was wrong about that. They just keep trying to explain away fucking information. That's why I tell people read the actual paper, bro. What does the paper say? Usually, sub-Saharan African DNA is represented by Yoruba, bro, in scientific papers.
Hard search Yoruba, really quick.
It's right there.
No, I want to see how many times they mention it.
Oh my god! Hold on. Just scrolling through, looking at these charts.
I think it talks about skin tone at some point.
Oh, here we go. African admixture proportions in present-day and ancient Egyptians are estimated model-based clustering by admixture and successful models with increasing number of ancestral population. In this section, we confirm the estimates using a simplifier F4 ratio approach applied to the proposed graph below. We use different Western region populations to act as proxies for the non-African sources. Again, we observed an increase of Yoruba-related African ancestry in present-day Egyptians compared with our ancient samples. The present-day Egyptians are suggested to have about 14 to 21% African ancestry, while the proportion of ancient Egyptians are only 6 to 15%, as also depicted in supplementary table 6. So yeah, they're using Yoruba as the genetic proxy.
Okay. What's on supplementary table 6?
Supplementary table 6? I thought we looked at it.
Oh, we did? Okay.
Oh, we did. Look, it says right here again. We use the following set of outputs, including extinct Denisovan, Upper Paleolithic Eurasian, and 3 Eastern non-African populations, the Ong, the Papuan, and Australian. We use Yoruba and different West Eurasian groups as proxies for the source population. Bro, that's why, y'all don't read these papers, man. Like, that's why I'm like, let me just take out the time to read this shit, bro, because y'all can make up anything. Again, we're not know-it-alls, we show-it-alls. Trying to show you the damn information.
Facts. All right, so the Egyptians had around that much sub-Saharan African DNA, Yoruba 5 to 15%. Interesting. Okay.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
It says these results are consistent with admixture and F4 ratio that present-day Egyptians share more ancestry with. with Africans compared with ancient Egyptians, shown in detail supplementary table 7.
From those 3 ancient Egyptian bodies, they need to start saying. I don't like it when they just say.
Well, I mean, that's all you got for that sample size, so that's all you can say.
Yeah, they need to say that instead of ancient Egyptians, like it represents all 10,000 years of Egyptian history. But don't.
I got you, but that period, you do have those type of Egyptians there, which are 1 Yap and then 2 Trans-Caucasians. It says here, data and gene flow from Africans into present-day Egyptians. In this section, we estimate admixture time and lower bounds on the admixture proportion for observed African ancestry using linkage disequilibrium. Well, one episode, I was just butchering that word. LD base admixture inference implemented in Alder. We computed weighted LD curves with present-day Egyptians as the test population, Yoruba and French as references. As French might not be a close surrogate for all diverse populations in West Eurasia that might contribute to the Egyptians, we also took advantage of the one reference inference capabilities of Alder to only use Yoruba as a reference. The average admixture for present-day Egyptians 24 generations ago, about 700 years ago, assuming 29 years of generation, as further illustrated in supplementary table 8. We had estimated mixture fractions of at least 6.8% Yoruba related ancestry for those present-day Egyptians. Changing starting point of LD fit does not qualitatively affect the results. We caution that the date estimates might not reflect the initial African admixture in present-day Egyptians. Instead, it's an average date of population mixture. If the admixture did not happen immediately when 2 populations met or occurred many times over an extended period, the true start of mixture would be more ancient. That's huge. That's why you got to read these damn papers. Because, yes, the slave trade did mediate mostly mitochondrial DNA gene flow from sub-Saharan Africa into Egypt, into Turkey, and other places. But again, these scientific papers, man, if you actually take out time to read and understand it, it's pretty much at odds with what a lot of the shit you guys say.
That's why they don't want to debate us, because they know we actually read them, and they don't want to get beat up by a bunch of black people.
And if it's something I don't understand, I'll just go reference one of my books and read about it and then learn it, which y'all don't do. You guys are not studious at all. I want to move on from that to
what, another comment?
No, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read this and I'm going to bed, bro.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Oh, so they didn't add the Dinka on the PCA here. We had the
people always want to talk about the Dinka and
Algerian, the Sahrawi, Somali, Yoruba, Malta, and Mandinka Biaka. And when it said they performed the PCA. Oh yeah, we saw that. We saw this table with the Dinka in it. Remember I said, oh, there's the Dinka right there. That's that PCA table. Morning. I say this in the file, bro.
Oh, there's probably one comment we probably should address. One last one.
Go ahead and address it.
Lasonia, her comment about Afro-Asiatic and African Americans. I don't know if I can find it. I probably can pull it up here in a second, but basically she makes the comment that we need to stop claiming Israelite ancestry because none of us, no African Americans descend from Afro-Asiatic populations in West Africa. And then she shows a map basically showing Niger Congo, Afro-Asiatic, and Nilo-Saharan. So the issue with her comment is that plenty of African Americans actually would descend from Afro-Asiatic populations. Take the Hausa as an example. In her own post, it shows the Hausa.
That's what I was saying. What a dumbass. Yeah. Such a damn dumbass. The Hausa are a Western Central African group, dummy.
Exactly. And many African Americans descend from the Hausa. And that would technically mean that, yes, there are African Americans that descend from Afro-Asiatic people like the Hausa. And then you have the Fulani. And if you read most information on the Fulani, it's believed that they originally spoke an Afro-Asiatic language before adopting Niger Congo languages. Even the paper that Yushu brought out tonight said that they
there was a language shift with the Fulani. So that, and many African Americans descend from the Fulani. So that's yet another ethnic group that African Americans would descend from, having ancient Afro-Asiatic.
Okay. All right. I'm putting cases on all you bitches.
That's what we doing, bro. We putting cases on all you bitches, man. We're gonna start reading your damn comments and then breaking down how ridiculous some of your
Insane.
claims are, man. How insane and how the lack of reading on your behalf shows throughout your words and your statements, right? Um, this is my favorite
Yeah, they're
part.
giving this content.
Every time I go to this paper, it's for Afrocentrics because I love busting them upside the head with evidence. I love this part of the paper, right? It says the current distribution of E1B1B1 in North Africa, and not the supplement. This is my first time looking at the supplementary, but actually in the paper it goes into the phenotype as well.
Yep, it does.
It says the current distribution of E1B1B1 in North Africa could also be caused by a back migration from the Near East to Africa that have already been proposed by several authors. The high frequencies of haplogroup R1N173 in Cameroon, that's Western Africa, right, also support the back migration from Eurasia to Africa. So we know that this happened, right? So since it's still unclear whether E1B1B evolved in Northeast Africa or the Near East, we were deciding against attempting to conclude whether the two haplogroups provide information about different paternal origin information in our three mommy samples. For our phenotypic analysis, here we go. This is the part where Afrocentrics don't want to hear, trying to make Egypt all black. For our phenotypic analysis, we investigated a set of SNPs thought to be affected by the selection of our samples. When high quality bases were counted, we were able to find derived only high quality bases were counted. We were able to find derived alleles for the genes SLC24A5, which are known to be responsible for lighter skin pigmentations in JK2AA8 and JK2911. Our further test whether the genes SL45A2, SLCT, EDAR, and HERC2 revealed no derived alleles for both JK2888 and JK2911. For JK2134, no sufficient coverage after quality filtering was given at the specific sites, which is why the analysis revealed no further clues. LCT is responsible for lactase persistence in Europe. The SNPs at SLC2485 and SLC4582 are responsible for lighter skin pigmentation. The SNP at EDAR affects tooth morphology and hair thickness. The SNP at HERC2 is the primary determinant of light eye color in present-day Europeans. These people were pretty much pale. They were light. They were white-skinned. That's what these mummies look like, man. All ancient Egypt wasn't black. All ancient Egypt wasn't white. These what these mummies look like, and this hurts the heart of these guys pushing this all black Egypt bullshit. That's why I like going to this paper. But he gave me a reason to go to this paper again, and we read it. It is what it is, and that's the motherfucking deal. With that being said, I want to read this to y'all as well. Let me stop my stream. Before we get out of here, about the Monday people. I meant to do this earlier. Might as well go ahead and get it out the way. Right?
Okay. All right. I'm putting cases on all you bitches.
About the early settlers coming from the north or whatnot. It says here, this is from a book, History of West Africans, a captivating guide to West African history, starting from the ancient civilizations through the medieval period to the present. Page 15. It says here, as with most regions, the early people of West Africa were nomadic hunter-gatherers who did the best they could in a harsh and changeable world. Over time, they settled down and become farmers and eventually built great civilizations. Since West Africa has a number of different environments, the ancient people who lived there traveled as much as possible to take advantage of favorable environments. Again, not static, migratory people. It says that people began working with tools and learning to farm the land they previously traveled. Some people settled in places like Dahar Tachit and Dahar Walata. These settlements are remarkably well preserved and provide historians with a rare and valuable glimpse into the lives of the people who made a home there. As urbanization began to take hold of Africa, places like the Gini de Gino became centers of urban living. The journey from nomads to established cities is always interesting, and in West Africa, no different. Prehistoric West Africa, uncovering the secrets of West Africa's prehistory, has proved to be challenging task for historians, unlike other parts of Africa, which offer many clues about the prehistory in the form of the Bantu expansion or Swahili trading posts. West Africa offers up no such clues. However, that doesn't mean that there's nothing to find. West Africa is a massive stretch of land, and historians have only scratched the surface of discovering what treasures lay hidden beneath the surface. Historians have been able to observe several interesting factors that give them an idea of West Africa's prehistory. Scientists have found evidence of drastic climate change in the Sahara. This indicates that people had to travel to different areas out of necessity. Interestingly, there are still nomadic people who live in the Sahara, and historians have theorized that smaller nomadic tribes were once part of a larger groups of people who didn't need to travel as much. And we all know this period is the Green Sahara, right? So evidence to show that tool using people were living in West Africa as early as the Middle Pleistocene era. As the weather and region changed, people began to migrate to different areas. People began creating pottery and weapons around 9400 BCE. For much of West Africa's early history, the Sahara was a well watered area that supported life. It could be used to maintain flocks of animals. Historians have found evidence that Barbary sheep were farmed in the Sahara. Unfortunately, the climate began to change, and the people likely followed the water, leaving behind some people who adapted to a nomadic way of life and found ways to thrive in the harsh desert. The people who left the Sahara were met by hunter gatherers who existed in other parts of West Africa. These are your forest, Central Forest hunter gatherers, your sun related people. This is who these people met. Soon the people mingled and became part of larger groups. As people began herding cattle and growing crops, an intricate social structure began to develop. Again, this is me talking. Again, you don't get civilization without farming first, right? You don't get state formation, legal codes, what I'm saying, inventions and technological developments until you get that right. As people took on different roles within society, cattle was a valuable resource that was traded and formed the basis of the emergent social structure. Thankfully, there are still ancient settlements that exist today and are well preserved. As a social hierarchy developed around 4000 BCE, historians have found evidence that the Mundi people created the Tachit culture. The Mundi people can be found all over West Africa. They created an intricate culture that can be studied due to the artifacts that were left behind. The Tachit culture formed the basis for an advanced civilization that can be found at ancient West African settlements such as Dahar Tachit. The Mundi people are thought to have developed farming practices in West Africa. The various languages that developed from the Mundi people formed the basis of the primary language family in parts of West Africa. Eventually, the Mundi split into groups, with the East Mundi and West Mundi being most influential. The East Mundi went on to form the Saniki culture that became the foundation of the Ghana Empire, while the West Mundi became the Malinki, who formed the Mali Empire. And again, these people do have PPNB Neolithic DNA, which is interesting, as we read earlier. So the Monday people are connected there. I want to bring that point home before we get out of here. Let me go back to my library here. And there's another interesting book here I brought out before. The Agricultural Revolution and Prehistory by Graham Barker. All right, let's open this book real quick. Then I'm going to bid you guys farewell, right? Getting very sleepy. Let me go to my notebook. I'm going to my handy dandy notebook. Let's see. Where is it at here? Right here. All right, here. Let's explain this PPNB. It says here, though the details differ, the consensus emerging that farming must have started in most parts of Africa as a package of new people speaking a new language with new technologies, pottery and iron in the south, and a new way of life, agriculture. Afro-Asiatic farmers, it has been argued, spread first into the Nile Valley from Southwest Asia. Some scholars arguing that the context for this was a climatic crisis. circa 6000 BC, that forced many PPNB farmers to flee the Levant. They then colonized the Sahara and Sahel. Let me read that again. They then colonized the Sahara and Sahel. That's why it's very
That
interesting.
makes sense. Go ahead.
What were you about to say?
I was going to say that makes a lot of sense because Ibero-Mauritians are like 60 to 70% Levantine, like related to the Tufians.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right. But that's older than this event, the Ibero-Mauritian. They were always going back and forth. That's why they don't want sub-Saharan Africans to be put in North Africa. That's why a lot of people buck against that, because there's a genetic continuity between North Africa and the Levant. But it says here that forced many PPNB farmers to flee the Levant, which the Mandinka do have the PPNB DNA, Neolithic DNA. So they didn't colonize the Sahara and the Sahel. And that's when we start seeing the Hartachit. You know what I'm saying? We start seeing them bringing in the Bagaras, bringing in these Levantine technologies, Levantine animals, like the chickens and goats and stuff of that nature into the Sahara, and bringing in their farming and pastoral packages.
I was going to hit that first.
Said Bantu farmers, it was agreed, must have acquired farming from them, and they then carried it in iron southwards as they turned colonized West, East, and South Africa, which that makes sense too, because they also have, according to a PCA or a PC analysis that was conducted, showing that these people also have Bronze Age Levantine DNA being revealed in those analyses. It all makes sense when you follow the anthropology, the archaeology, and the genetics multidisciplinary front, all culminating to a beautiful picture of migration. And with that, I'm out, man. I'm out.
Yeah. Oh, wait, my mic was open the whole time?
Yeah.
What do you hear in the background?
Nothing.
All right, good. Because I'm playing Call of Duty right now.
We gone, man. 7 candlesticks up, and I've been telling you niggas, it ain't a debate. It's a stick-up gang.
Smooth was good, baby.
Right. I'm a big dog, I don't come and say losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got suicidal thoughts and it down, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I don't come and say losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got suicidal thoughts and it down, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I don't want you now. Made the crowd scream, run them own guns. I bitch you, red, bro, you down. He was supposed to be with Caesar Matthews, he's a 9. How you let the stinks take your pieces from me? Turn a nigga head into a Reese's cup. You wasn't on the main line, you was PC'd up. We got Draco in the building, turn to Stevie Wonder. Now we back to the punchlines. I'm finna do a nigga sleazy like that one time. I got a free bus pass, he on that one line. I turn my wrist handicap like that blind nigga. I'm a big dog, I don't come and say losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got suicidal thoughts and it down, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I don't come and say losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got suicidal thoughts and it down, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. Man, I'm a big dog, I don't come and say losers. For real. Suicidal thoughts and it down, don't make me lose it.
I'm a big dog, I don't conversate with poodles. I make street music you can commit violent crimes too. If we beefing, I use chunks from your noodles to make spaghetti. Throwing house party when you hear them pop shots, it's not confetti. That shit under meniscus, I can eyeball it, no fatty. For a nickel, my shooter ain't a nigga world Armageddon. I want more chains to whip like my shit ain't broke already. And I don't wanna hit that crystal cause I'm dope already. Things came to take the rap game over and I hope y'all ready. Bitch act stupid, I fuck your mama, bitch, you know I'm petty. Nigga think he fucking with me, must be blowed off fatty. This exotic stinky buzz, we don't smoke that Reggie.
I'm a big dog, I don't come and say losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got suicidal thoughts and it down, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I don't come and say losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got suicidal thoughts and it down, don't make me lose it. The only thing that get some time for me is OGs. Man, I'm a big dog, I don't conversate with losers.